Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews video. I'm Jay and today we're going to be going through the new Warhammer the Horus Heresy Liber Astartes army book. So this is up for pre-order today on June the 4th. I think it's released on June the 18th. It's £42.50 and just like to say thank you to Games Workshop for sending Sprues and Brews a copy of this book to review. So this is the sort of companion book to the main Warhammer the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness rulebook. And inside this book, Liber Astartes, we get all of the rules for the Loyalist Legions, including their units, rights of war, warlord traits. There's also a large section of the book given over to the generic Legion Astartes army list. So this includes the general units that are available to any sort of Legion Astartes army list. So we'll just get cracking and dive straight in. So yeah, it's quite a big book. I think it's about 350 pages. We can see if we get to the index page here, there's quite a lot in here. So as I said, you get a lot of the, well, you get all of the general sort of Legion Astartes units here, all their profiles and points costs. We also get a few sections here about the different unit types, general rights of war, some of the special rules that are referenced in this book on some of the unit profiles and weapons. And then the second half of the book is given over to the individual Loyalist Legions themselves. So we get the Dark Angels, White Scars, Space Wolves, Imperial Fists, Blood Angels, Iron Hands, Ultramarines, Salamanders and Raven Guard. So yeah, it's quite a weighty tune. There is some nice artwork in, as we can see. There's a little bit here at the beginning which sort of goes into detail about how you use this book and how you put together a Space Marine sort of Legion Astartes army. There's also a nice bit here, core and expanded army list profiles. So in this book we do get a lot of unit profiles for the different Loyalist Legion units, but not all of them are in here. So there are some units missing that used to exist in the previous version of the Horus Heresy. Predominantly those units that don't have models that you can purchase. But there's a section here that talks about expanded army list profiles, and that going forward, Games Workshop will make sort of unit profiles available online via PDF downloads. We've seen this in the build-up to the Horus Heresy release with units like the Imperial Fist Huskars. So I suspect a lot of these units will get added back in via that mechanism. So don't despair too much if one of your favourite units is missing from this book as it stands. So there we see the new sort of Crusade Force organisation charts. There has been a little bit of a switch around, I think, because there's an actual dedicated slot now for Primark, as you can see. We cover this in a lot more detail in the written article on the Sprues and Brews website. So if you want to know more about the sort of first half of this book, you can check that article out on the Sprues and Brews website. We've got the Allies chart there, which has got all of the legions in there, and also a few extras. So we've got the Mechanicum in there, the Imperial Army. So I'll just skip through here. So these look like the core sort of general warlord traits that are available to any Space Marine Legion. You're able to pick from these rather than the Legion specific ones. Then we come to the section where these are the general units, like I say. So we've got the HQ sections here, Legion Praetors with all the different options. There's really nice sort of lore and sort of fluffy narrative pieces in the side bars there as well for each of these pages, and some nice artwork of the new models. The Cataphracti and Tartarus Praetors, and the Legion Centurions. So obviously these are like your sort of lieutenant level characters. You get a lot of customization, a lot of options for the different consul types, librarians, Moritats, Praevians, Delegatus. Each of the legions as well, a lot of them have their own sort of unique legion consuls that you can take. We'll come to them shortly. The different variants of the Centurions there, and the different Terminator armies. Legion Command Squad, more Command Squads, and the Damocles Command Rhino there. Here are on the Elite section, Legion Veteran Squad there. Lots of options, and there's some cool, so it doesn't show you so much on this one. If we find another profile shortly, I can show you how they've sort of broken down the new rules. Yeah, so we can see here you get the Legion Astartes X rule, so you can replace the X there with your specific Legion. Bulky 2, a lot of the rules now have this sort of number in brackets afterwards, so Rending 6+, Breaching 4+, which is pretty cool. You also got the different unit types as well. So heavy, character, the different subtypes. Most of the unit subtypes are described in this book, but not all of them. A lot of them are still in the core rulebook that you'll have to check. The different destroyer options there. The Apothecary and Tetmarine Covenants and Detachments. So these are units you take and are split up between your forces before the game begins. Assign them to units. And the Contempt of Dreadnought Talon. So the big change now, the Contemptors, the Dreadnoughts, they have toughness and wounds values instead of the old armor facings, which is going to be quite interesting. I think they're going to be quite tough in this game now. Toughness 7 with a 2+ armor save, and the Atomantic Deflector gives them a 5+ invulnerable save. And also the Atomantic Deflector, it negates the impact of instant death as well a little bit. I think you take D3 wounds rather than losing all of your wounds from instant death attacks, which is quite fitting for a Dreadnought. A lot of this sort of unique Space Marine sort of wargear is also described in this book after the army list section, which we'll come to shortly. It's really refreshing to see. I've been playing Warhammer 40k 9th edition for a long time now, and it's really nice to see the points cost for the different upgrades against the units on the actual unit profile themselves. Throwback to 7th. Of course, the Horus Heresy has always been like that. Troops and dedicated transports now. So Legion Tactical Squad with the new upgrades for the chain bayonets and bayonets. Very nice. Despoiler Squad. Got Legion Assault Squad there and the Legion Breacher Squad. Just in the Breacher, you can see they've got the heavy subtype and line. Line is a really interesting one. You can read about that in our review of the core rulebook. But basically, line allows units to score in this game. So if you don't have line, you can't score. And your Legion Tactical Squads there, and Tactical Support Squad, sorry, and the Reconnaissance Squad. So I think there's been a change here because of the Support Squad rule. We'll have to check what that means, but I think these can be taken now in the compulsory troop slot choices, if you like, but we can double check that. Scouts and Rhinos, the different dedicated transport options, drop pods, and the Termite Assault Drill. Into the fast attack section. Seeker Squads and the Outrider Squadrons. And you can see another example here, precision shots 4+, so this means on a dice roll of 4+, the precision shots roll will take effect. I quite like that. The Saber Strike Squadrons, I really like these vehicles. I'm thinking about picking up one of those for the Blood Angels. So yeah, we'll just skip through these. These are sort of the general profiles here, available to all Legion Astartes army lists. Heavy support, which I think we'll see. Yep, the Legion Leviathan Dreadnought, which was also previewed on Warhammer Community this week, the new plastic model. I suspect we'll see a lot of those in people's lists now with a plastic model to be available soon. Again, you've got the toughness value and the wounds value there. Very, very tough models to remove, I think. Makes them much more resilient against melter weapons now and things like this, because you've got to get through those 7 wounds. There's some nice general rights of war in this book as well, which are available to any Legion Astartes army list. And there is one which allows you to build a full army of dreadnoughts. I reckon we may see a few of those on the battlefield as well. Heavy support squads, Predator Squadrons, the different Sakaran variants. So I'm not 100% sure which units haven't made the cut into this book. One that hasn't is definitely is it the Corvus pattern Contempt of Dreadnought, which was like the Scout Contemptor. That's not in here. Of course, that doesn't have a model. Perhaps it'll be added again later. The new Kratos tank. So this is it's not a cheap tank, but it's a very, very powerful tank. Matt, the fellow Sprue and Brewer, he's built one of these. You can check that out in the review as well on the website. And he's equipped his with the Melter Blast gun and basically all the las cannons you can put on. So I think there's about 4 las cannons on that tank. Really, really nice vehicle. The different Land Raiders. The Spartan. These are the different artillery pieces, I think. Yep. you've got Vehicle Bombard, another sort of unit subtype. I believe Bombard, we'll have to check in the core rulebook. I think that allows you to fire your ordnance weapons and other weapons as well. So I think a problem with these Aquitas originally was that you could equip the las cannons on the sponsons, but then when you fired the main weapon, the ordnance weapon, you could never really fire those las cannons. I think that's solved with this Bombard keyword, the subunit type. The Fire Raptor, drop pod. I mean, it's a Lords of War section, so this is all your super heavy, your sort of fell blades and glaives and things like that. The Primarks aren't in this bit anymore. They've got their own sort of type now, Primark. So Thunderhawk gunship there. The Stormbirds next. Yep, the Legion Mastodon. I'd love this tank. Really, really like this one. Okay, and yes, as I mentioned here, we've got some of the subtypes are described here. Not all of the subtypes are in this book, so you do need to sort of cross-reference a bit with the main core rulebook. But a lot of them are in here. There's sort of Space Marine specific ones, I think. Then we come to the sort of general rights of war. The rules for gaining access to the rights of war, I think, are very similar. You need the Master of the Legion, is it? Special rule. And then we can see here. So there's 1, 2 there, 3, 4. A bit of blurb about the drop pod assault. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This was the Dreadnought sort of right of war where you can build a whole Dreadnought army there. Yeah, so a fair few sort of general rights of war there. Then we come to the Legion Consular section. So these are all the upgrades for the Centurion characters. There's quite a lot of these. And again, the legions themselves do get access to some sort of legion-specific ones as well. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I think legions like the Space Wolves get quite a lot, as we'll see. But they replace a lot of the sort of general options. Yeah, quite a fair few of these ones. Then we come to some of the sort of Legion Astartes special rules. So again, you'll find these in the majority of them are in here. A few of them are still in the core rulebook, so it's a bit odd that they're not all sort of here. It would have been nice you don't have to flip between 2 books, but there we go. So and again here you can see where they've got the X here. There's normally a numerical value or dice value that you have to match on your dice roll to trigger that effect. Heart of Legion is an important one. This is a new one that predominantly you find it on your troops, or on some of your troops at least. Some of the rights of war for the different legions as well, and special rules, they do grant it to other units, but it's a very, very powerful rule. It basically triggers, I think, when you're within range of an objective. You get a variant of the Feel No Pain special rule, and if you've already got Feel No Pain, it increases. So it really makes some units very, very tough to sort of shift off objectives. I really like that rule. A few more here, Reach X as well. I really do like the way they put this this number now in the brackets alongside the rule. It makes it easier at a glance to figure out when that rule triggers. And allows them to sort of give different variants of the same rule to different units as well, which is quite cool. As you can see, lots of special rules. And this is the Armory, so this is all the different ranged and melee weapons that you can equip your Legion Astartes units with. We've got the full profiles here. And like some of the rules, Sunder and things like this, Rending, I don't think they appear in this book, so you have to cross-reference that with the core rule book. But other rules like Brutal does. It's a bit strange. I'm not sure what the logic was there, why some rules were in this book and some are in the other. Yeah, the Space Marines get access to a lot of different weapons. And come to the close combat weapons. Really nice to see the different chain sort of weapons as well. Get these different rules now, shred and whatnot. I really like that. There have been some changes to some of the weapons as well. So the Paragon blades and things like this. I noticed it the most when I was flicking through the Blood Angel section, actually, the Blades of Perdition. That the rules, they seem to, across the board, have reduced the amount of AP2 and AP3 weaponry. Not... That's a bit of a sweeping statement. There's been a few changes. I think there's not as much AP3 and AP2. And I think that just makes armies a bit more resilient, which is a good thing, I think. You still get access to the AP2s with the rending abilities and the breaching abilities and things like that. So plasma weapons is a good example of this, really. If we go back a page, you'll see plasma weapons now are all AP4, whereas I think before they were AP2. So they're not blasting Terminators or tactical squads off the board anymore. But you still get a chance to get that 2+ AP2 with the breaching rule there. So on a 4+ there, you'll get the AP2 back. I quite like that change. You know, you spend such a long time painting 3,000 points of Space Marines. It's a shame to see them get blown off the board very quickly by all this sort of lethal weaponry from the 31st millennium. And there's the Paragon blade there. Murder Strike is your instant death special rule, really. On a 6+, it would trigger that instant death. Some more war gear. So this is just your general war gear. A bit of a change here to boarding shields now. They grant a 5+ invulnerable save at all times, shooting and combat, which is quite nice. Combat shields are still 6+. So you can see there's a lot to go through here. Legion standards, the Legion Warhawk jump pack with some rules there for activating jump pack in the different phases. The different marks of Terminator armor as well with their rules. And then this is the section, I believe, where we start with the different legions. So the first legion, of course, is the Dark Angels. And each legion sort of structured in this way. So you get the new Legion Astartes sort of special rule, which applies to all of the Legion Astartes units in your army, which most of the time is pretty much all of them. A lot of the sort of Legion rules have been trimmed down, I think, from the previous edition. You'll find that a lot of the rules that used to appear in the Legion Astartes special rule have been sort of spread across the Warlord Traits and Rites of War. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. So you've got a much sort of smaller Legion Astartes, sort of almost like a Legion trait that you get access to. So for the Dark Angels, this is really interesting because they get access to their Hexagrammation unit subtypes. And what this lets you do is at the beginning of each of your game, or is it when you're writing the army list perhaps, each of your units with the Legion Astartes Dark Angels has to select one of these unit subtypes: Stormwing, Deathwing, Dreadwing. So these all appeared in the previous rules as well. They've changed slightly. You can mix and match them across your army. You can include characters with different hexagrammation types inside units. So you could have a Stormwing character inside a Deathwing unit, for example, and you can choose which effect you want to be active for that turn. Lots of customization options there with the Dark Angels. So we can see there that the Stormwing are models in a unit under the effect of this hexagrammation unit subtype gain a bonus of +1 to hit while rolling to hit as part of a shooting attack. With a bolter, combi bolter, or bolt pistol, so very similar to the Imperial Fist's Legion Astartes rule. So you could put that on your heavy bolters, heavy support squads, and things like this. But then you could have a character with the Dreadwing inside that unit, and you could flick to use that if you came under attack from flame, plasma, or Volkite weapons, for example. Gain the benefits of both gain the benefit you want at the most appropriate time. Each legion as well gets access to an advanced reaction. So you've got the core reactions in the book, which is a new mechanic for this edition of the Horus Heresy. Advanced reactions are once per game reactions that you can activate. under certain circumstances, and they're very, very powerful, as you'd expect for a once per game sort of action. The Dark Angels one here, when a charge is declared for an enemy unit targeting one of the reactive player's units, before the charge is resolved, the reactive player must make a leadership test using the lowest leadership characteristic in the unit making this reaction. If the leadership test is passed, then all models in the reacting unit gain a Fearless and Fear 2 special rules until the end of the controlling player's next turn. If the leadership test is failed, then all models in the unit make this reaction instead gain the Stubborn and Fear 1 special rules until the end of the controlling player's next turn. So that's a really cool advanced reaction there. You get between 2 and 3 Warlord traits really for each of the Loyalist Legions. So these are the 2 options here for the Dark Angels. Not as many as most of the other Legions, only 2, but the Dark Angels have a lot of customization already with their hexagrammation unit subtypes, I guess. Then we've got the Rites of War. So Dark Angels are spoiled for choice here as well. A lot of them, I'm not sure if they're all here from the previous edition or some are missing, or I'm not so sure. I think there's 6, 1, 2 on this page, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's quite a lot. Overall, I find the Rites of War, the bonuses perhaps aren't as strong as they used to be, but the limitations aren't as severe as they used to be either. So they're much easier to sort of build an army and fit an army into, which is good, I think. Lots of options for the Dark Angels, so I think they have the most options out of all of the Loyalist Legions. Each Legion has their own army with unique weapons, so we get the Calibanite Warblades, the special plasma weapons that the Dark Angels use, and the Tyrannic Greatswords. The Tyrannic Greatswords in particular I'm really impressed with. +2 strength, AP3. Rending 5+ means you've got a chance, a 1 in 3 chance of getting that back down to AP2, and Murder Strike 5+ for your instant death. Tyrannic Greatswords are great. The Dark Angels get their unique consul, which is a paladin of the Hecatronistica. I can never say that. We'll come on to these in a minute. So this basically, they get a bit of a stat boost, leadership and weapon skill. They get a few special rules, Stubborn and Adamantium Will. But they also, I think, get access to the orders of the Hecatronistica. Sorry for mispronouncing that, which we'll come on to shortly. So these were... in fact, we'll come on to them now. Let's skip forward so I can show you. So they're here. So these used to be in a different section, I think, in the previous edition of the rules. I think you could give characters these sort of orders and whatnot. Now they're available to the Inner Circle Knight Cenobium and also to the Paladin. And you can see here, basically, you can choose which order the unit will belong to. And each of the sort of orders has a sort of specialism. So you may want to take the Slayer of Kings to sort of make your unit or paladin a bit more capable in a challenge. You've got the Hunters of Beasts for taking down monsters or dreadnoughts and things like this. So even more customization really available there to Dark Angels players. So we'll skip back. So that was the consul, sorry. Come to the Primark himself, the Lion. So each Primark gets a Warlord trait. Sire of the Dark Angels, Sire of the Blood Angels, Sire of the Imperial Fists. Generally, each sort of Legion has a particular phase in the game where they will get an additional reaction. So you can see here, an army with the Lionel Johnson as its Warlord may make an additional reaction in the opposing player's shooting phase, as long as Lionel Johnson is not removed as a casualty. So that's the case for all of Loyalist Legions, with the exception of 1 or 2, which we'll come up to. In addition, you sort of get like a force multiplier effect as well, an effect that applies to the majority of your army. So we can see here for the Lion and the Dark Angels, anyone that can draw line of sight to him may add +1 to their leadership. They also gain the Crusader special rule, which is quite cool. So yeah, the Primarchs really do sort of boost the entire army. In terms of stat lines, you can see at the top there that the line's pretty good. Weapon skill 8, I think that's one of the highest in the book. I don't think I've seen any higher than weapon skill 8. Initiative 7 as well, I think that's one of the highest for a Primarch. We'll come up, we'll double check that as we go through. And attack 7, generally these are 6 across the board for Primarchs. So you can see that the line is quite good. A lot of these special rules I think are the same as what they were in the previous edition. So he's still getting extra attacks when he takes wounds. He's still got that really cool ability to make that reliable charge. He's still 2+ armor, re-rolling the first invulnerable save that he makes, that 4+. And you can see his weapons here as well. He's got the 2 different options here, really, really great. I'm not sure which one I prefer, to be honest. I think probably the Wolf Blade still. It's only AP3, but you do get that breaching 4+, which means you potential there still for that AP2. Reaping Blow 2, I think, means he adds an extra 2 attacks if he's in base contact with 2 models or more. Something like that, so he'll be going up to 9 attacks. So yeah, so that's the Lion. We get the Inner Circle Knight Cenobian, so we talked about the orders already, but you can see they've got 2 wounds. The Dreadwing Interemptor squad, so these are the plasma sort of Dark Angels with their plasma burners. They get counter attack 1 now, so they get the extra attack if they get charged. And they've got some really, really nice sort of plasma weaponry here. The Deathwing Companion Detachment. These are the really, really nice looking Forgewood models with the swords and the big, almost like Void Shield, Storm Shield type thing. I think Dave is very interested in picking up a unit of those. Now, this is an interesting one, Corswain. So Corswain is in his book. Corswain, as far as I know, does not yet have a model. So I believe Corswain is the only unit profile in this book that doesn't have a model. Whether that means Corswain's perhaps looking at getting a new model in the near future or sometime in the future, who knows? But it's interesting that he's in here. I mean, I'm glad he's in here. He's a sort of an iconic character for the Dark Angels. Morduk Cedras. He's obviously just had a model or a limited release model. I think it's up for more general release later in the year. If you were lucky enough to go to the Horus Heresy Open Day, you could have picked up one of those. He's in here with his big sword. What's it called? The Death of Worlds there. And then you get a little bit of the heraldry and iconography of each of the legions, which I think is really, really helpful when you're painting your army up, to see the different shoulder pauldrons and helmet choices and things like that while you come up with colour schemes to make your unit stand out. I really like that. And this is the pattern all of the Loyalist Legions follow. So you'll get the rules and you'll get a little bit of artwork at the back. The vehicle heraldry. And then a little model showcase as well. So it's really, really nice to see all this. The second legion in the book then is the White Scars. So again, we see some change to the Legion Astartes rules. They've been slimmed down a little bit, and a lot of the rules that used to appear in that sort of section of the Legion rules now is sort of scattered through the Warlord Traits and Rites of War. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So these are a very, very fast Legion, +1 to their movement characteristic. Which is interesting because obviously your charge bonuses now, when you're making charge, there's a table which grants you bonuses to charge based on your movement characteristic. So any bonuses there will also impact in the charge phase. Their advanced reaction as well is all about mobility. So they can, if an enemy unit moves within a certain range of one of your units, you can declare this reaction in their movement phase, and you can move a bunch of your White Scars units, which is really, really cool, make them difficult to pin down. Of course, it's only a once per game ability, but still, it's a nice effect there. So the White Scars get 3 Warlord traits, and as you can see, there are traitor only options and loyalist options as well, which is interesting. And the 2 rites of war there. So I think 1 rite of war allows you to build an army of bikes and jet bikes. Interesting, they grant the line unit subtype to those Sky Hunters and Legion Outrider squadrons that you take. Line is very important. If you check out our core rulebook review, you'll see that's how units score. And then this rite of war here allows you to focus on the Eben Keshik, those Terminators. Although you're not allowed to take a Primark. They are nice models though. Again, we get the Armory. So just the different weapons and pieces of war gear that are available to the legions. The unique Consularis, I believe this replaces the Librarian. So this is a Storm Seer. Fills a similar sort of purpose to the Librarian. And it's interesting as well because if you check, they get access to a unique discipline here, the Storm's Fury. And some of the powers are sort of innate powers. So you can see the Call of the Wind here. Instead of moving in the movement phase, a Psyker with this psychic power may grant the Fleet 2 special rule to all friendly units with at least one model within 6 inches of the Psyker. So Fleet 2, I believe, adds 2 to the run and 2 to the charge moves of units. This special rule lasts until the beginning of the controlling player's next turn. And then you may choose, if you like, to buff it to Fleet 4 by making a psychic check. Obviously, there's a risk there that you suffer perils of the warp, but I really like that. I think librarians, you may see a lot of them, or the Legion-specific librarians in a lot of people's armies now, because the different Legion psychic disciplines, I think, are very interesting. Jakati Khan, so you can see how he compares to the Lion. Generally 6s across the board, 6 wounds. Initiative 8 though, so he's a very, very fast, and one of the fastest, I believe. Obviously movement 9 as well. I think that includes his +1 bonus for being a White Scar. Still the option to take him mounted on his special jet bike as well. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a model for that in the future. And you can see there have been a few changes to the rules for Jakati Khan, which you can see there. These are the 2 Keshik squads, so the Terminators and the jet bikes. I love the Ebon Keshik models, the Terminator models. I think they're brilliant, and their power glaives are fantastic as well. I think they're AP2 with a chance, AP3, sorry, with a chance for AP2. I think they're rending or breaching. I can't remember now which one. So these are really, really cool, with the Karash special rule as well, where they never give up victory points to the opponent. The Golden Keshik though, wow. These guys have the Kontos power lances, so they only get 1 attack each with this. But it is strength 10 AP1, and it has the Sudden Strike 4 and the Brutal 3 special rule. Sudden Strike 4 means you add 4 to your initiative on the charge, so these will be initiative 8. Brutal 3 means for every wound that gets 3, it causes 3 wounds, which means these are your Primark hunters, your Dreadnought hunters, your Monster hunters, if they get the charge off, which, being White Scars, you shouldn't have any problem getting the charge off. Their special White Scar Land Speeder. A little bit better than the regular Javelin Land Speeder, as you'd expect from the White Scars. And then we get one of the special characters there. And I think this is the only one. The other White Scar character is not in this book. Of course, he doesn't have a model. Iconography again. Some different units there, different vehicles, so you can see different colour schemes. The Legion-specific contempts there, very nice. And of course, the gallery there, the showcase. Really, really nice range for the White Scars. Then we come to the Space Wolves. So when I first read through this book, the Space Wolves sort of stood out, I think, as quite a strong army. Their Legion Astartes Space Wolves special rule, Bestial Savagery, very, very strong. So they can basically run and still shoot and charge. And I think as well, units that can't run get a +1 weapon skill when they charge instead. And there's some buff there to ram attacks made by vehicles. Very, very cool. Their advanced reaction as well, really, really interesting. So this allows you to sort of charge in the enemy's movement phase. So when an enemy comes within range of one of your units, you can move that one of your units and then charge with that unit. Really, really cool. Very, very strong. You have to be careful of that if you're playing against the Space Wolves, I think. They've got their 3 Warlord traits here. And then the 3 Rites of War. So they've got quite a good selection of options, the Space Wolves. You can see same format as before. You get a few bonuses and then some limitations. The Armory of the Space Wolves there, they're Frostblades. The Jarl is an interesting one. It's not actually a piece of war gear. It's like an upgrade for a Praetor. Gives them the Skirmish subtype and the Counter-Attack 2 special rule for a small points increase there. And the Space Wolves as well, they get access to a lot of the Legions Consularis options, but they replace a lot of the options. So at the beginning here, just skip back a second, you can see it will tell you here which options they can't take: Chaplains, Librarians, Primus, Medicaid, Console upgrades. Instead, they get access to the Pack Thing, Speaker of the Dead, and Caster of the Runes, which are described here. sort of fulfill similar purposes. Access to their own unique psychic discipline as well. And again, with like an innate power at the bottom, which you are able to buff if you want to risk a psychic test. Leman Russ, very, very strong Primark. That stat line there, above average strength, above average initiative, above average attacks for a Primark. He's got a really cool Warlord trait. So again, you get the extra reaction. This time it's in your assault phase, opposing player's assault phase. He buffs the army, +1 strength on the turn they charge and the units that are in the army with him. But this Howl of the Death Wolf is a really fluffy option. So if you're playing against some traitor space wolves, you can make use of the Howl of the Death Wolf to sort of inflict a pinning test on the enemy army, I think it is actually. And that's his different war gear options there. I think there's been a few changes. I think, was it the armor used to apply this -1 to hit penalty in the rounds of combat. I think that's now changed to just a -1 cap. But yeah, he looks really nice. Some really, really interesting weapons, and Brutal 2 is a great rule there, doing the extra wounds. Got the Wolfkin there. These are the two big wolves that fight alongside Leman Russ's side. The Death Sworn, with their own special rules here. Cultum Mokai, the Dreams of the Death Wolf, and the Mira class Stasis Bombs. Wolfguard Terminators. Grey Slayers, lots of options for the Space Wolves, lots of options. Grey Stalkers, which, you know, they gain access to the new chain bayonets as well. And then two of the special characters, Geiger Fellhand and Varl Redblade, who was my favourite, I think. He's got some cool rules down here. So you can give up to 3 units the Scout special rule in your army, which I think is quite nice. He grants an additional reaction during the opponent's assault phase as well. So I think if you've not got Leman Russ, he's a great option for your Warlord. The showcase here. The Imperial Fist. So this is the Legion that I'm currently building and painting up as I start Horus Heresy 2nd edition. Again, lots of the Imperial Fist special rules relating to fortifying and that sort of thing. They've been switched around into Warlord Traits. They've come away from the sort of central Legion Astartes special rule here. Now, basically, all of your Legion Astartes Imperial Fist models get +1 to hit with any auto or bolt weapons. So you can go back to the beginning of the book to see which weapons are classed as auto and which weapons are classed as bolt. And that's in effect all the time, whether you're in your shooting phase or including in any reactions that you make as well, which is great. It means most of your army's hitting on 2+ with the bolt weapons there. Their advanced reaction as well, I think, is really, really good. You know, for a sort of gunline static kind of army, it's nice to have something that's a combat focused advanced reaction which complements that. So the advanced reaction for the Imperial Fist is very similar to the Space Wolves one, but probably not as powerful. So basically, if an enemy unit ends their movement within 10 inches of you, one of your units, you can declare a charge with that unit. You get any of the benefits that you would normally get for declaring a charge. So if you've got any rules that grant extra charge distance, they come into effect as well. And it's just your initiative plus D6 to make that charge too. So you can, obviously you've got your gun line, all your bolters firing, the enemy closes, and some Templar Brethren jump out. Really, really cool. The Warlord Traits, we've got the Imperial Fist Rights of War, so these get 3 options. There's been some changes in here as well to some of the compositions of the Rights of War, some mixing round of different unit options. The Stone Gauntlet probably is a good one to demonstrate this. So I think it used to be Breaches had to be taken as compulsory troops choices in this Right of War. That's now changed to Phalanx Warders have to be taken as compulsory troop choices in this Right of War. They no longer get the +1 toughness. Instead, they get to reroll all failed invulnerable saves. which is nice, especially when you look at the Phalanx Warders, who are able to get to a 4+ invulnerable save. And then you've got the Hammerfall Strike Force and the Templar Assault. You get lots of options for Deep Strike, the Imperial Fist do. As we'll come up to that shortly, you'll see Rogal Dawn's had a bit of an upgrade. He gets the Deep Strike rule as well now. And the Teleport Strike here allows you to give your Terminator squads the Deep Strike special rule as well. Everything else is much the same. They've got their special Power Fist here, the Strength 10 AP1 Power Fist. Visual Storm Shield, still a 3+ invulnerable save. They've got the Liber Astartes Assault Cannon, shared with the Blood Angels. And the special console option, the Castellan, who is like a heavy weapons specialist, I guess. He can take a mastercrafted heavy weapon. I believe he can also buff the heavy support squads in your army, but maybe I've got that wrong. In addition, any Legion heavy support squad on the same detachment as Castellan gain the line subtype, so you can have units with heavy bolters and las cannons sitting on backfield objectives there with him next to them. It's very cool. Oh, it doesn't even need to be next to them, just in the army. It's a nice option to take there then if you have got some of those units in your army. They can then, you know, play a part in the objective game. Rogal Dawn himself, so as you can see, he's had a bit of a points increase. You can also see he's had a bit of a stats increase as well. So above average wounds for other Primarks. He's got that weapon skill 8, one of the highest. Initiative 6, attack 6. He looks much more impressive, I think, now, and can go toe-to-toe with his brother Primarks. You can see he's gained the Deep Strike special rule. Yeah, I really like Rogal Dawn now. He's also a really good force multiplier. So basically, any of your units with a character subtype, so you know, most of your units will have characters leading them, they can draw line of sight to him and use his leadership 10. They also add +1 to the combat resolution, wounds caused for combat resolution. And then before the battle begins, you can choose a phase, and Rogal Dawn gives you an extra reaction in that phase. So if you're playing a World Eaters army, you might decide you need an additional reaction in the enemy's assault phase. If you're playing a Iron Warriors army, you may decide you need an additional reaction in the opponent's shooting phase. Rogal Dawn gives you that flexibility. He's quite defensive as well. Obviously, he's got the Auric armor here. 4+ invulnerable save, 2+ armor save, and you can only wound him on a 4+, regardless of the strength of the attack that's hitting him. Any charges against him are counted as disordered. His chainsword as well looks really cool now. You've got the Murder Strike 6+, so he's a chance for instant death there. Reaping Blow gives him 2 extra attacks if he's in base contact with 2 or more models. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I definitely like the upgrade that Rogal Dawn's had. And that's the same for other Primarchs like Guilliman as well, who, you know, compared to the Lion, they probably weren't that great previously, but now I think they can hold their own. We've got the Templar Brethren here with 2 wounds. Not much else has changed on them though, I don't think. A nice unit. If they're taking in an army with Sigismund, they count as troops as well, but obviously they don't have the line subtype, so they're not going to be scoring. We've got the Phalanx Warders. These have seen quite a few changes actually. So these now come equipped with bolters and power axes as standard. They've got the Breacher Charges, which is a special kind of grenade, I guess, that you can use against fortifications. They've also got these 2 special rules now, Lockstep and Shield Wall. As you can see there, Lockstep gives them +1 weapon skill if they're charged, which is great. And this, I believe, will synergize as well with Fafnir Ran's ability, which also gives a unit he's in +1 weapon skill on charge, so you get +2 weapon skill, I think. And Shield Wall here, which is great, which they add +1 to their invulnerable saves if they're in base contact with at least 2 other models, so you can form a shield wall. And that bonus is applied to any independent characters in the unit as well. Now, I think the independent characters will need to be equipped with a boarding shield in order to be able to claim that. But that's great, especially with Fafnir Ran, who we'll come on to in a minute. We've got Sigismund, just as deadly as ever. More deadly than ever, I'd say, actually. The Black Sword, I believe, used to cause instant death in a challenge. It now causes instant death all the time. He's still got the rule which forces opponents to reroll successful and vulnerable saves. He makes Templar Brethren troops. Yeah, he's just a monster. And he's the only unit outside of the Primarchs in this book that has the Eternal Warrior special rule as well. Something to watch out for. Alexis Pollux, the Crimson Fist, and Fafnir Ran. So he's the new sculpt that was recently released. I think, was it for a Black Library anniversary? I can't quite recall now. Alongside Zephon, the Blood Angel. But he's very, very nice. I can see him find his way into a lot of Imperial Fist armies, especially those with Phalanx Warders. You can see here he buffs the Phalanx Warders with his Warlord trait. Very cool. It's nice to see some of the new models painted up in Imperial Fist. They look good. And then we come to the Blood Angels. So, Blood Angels, my favourite Legion. There's been quite a lot of changes for the Blood Angels, I've noticed. We've got their Legion Astartes rule here. They get +1 to wound, but only in the turn they charge. Their vehicles get a bonus to ramming attacks, I believe. +1 strength to any hits inflicted by ramming attacks. The advanced reaction is all about taking... You trigger it in the shooting phase, they take some shots, they gain the Shrouded special rule for the duration of that shooting phase, and then they're able to make a charge if they survive. So you got to be careful. You can deep strike your Blood Angels units right in next to the opponent's units, and they have to decide whether they want to risk shooting them before they charge, and then getting charged or not. Probably always shoot them, I'd say. Some Warlord traits here, including the traitor only one. For all of the Red First, really, really cool Warlord trait. Reminds me of the Death Company from Warhammer 40,000. The Rites of War, Day of Revelation. A big change there, I think, really now. So this used to be a turn 1 deep strike for all your units, and I believe they used to get cover save when they came down for the jump pack armed ones, equipped ones. Now you basically form up all of your deep strike units in your army into a deep strike assault, and you choose a turn between turn 2 and 4 when you want them to come down. You choose a location on the battlefield. This is at the start of the game, and then in that turn your units come down around that point. Obviously if the opponent's there and you can't land, you can try and land elsewhere, but you'll scatter. So it gives you a reliable, if somewhat predictable, deep strike later in the game, but that's it really. The limitations aren't as strict as they used to be, though, I suppose. You used to have to take jump pack equipped troops and things like this, and fast attack deep striking units, but that seems to have been relaxed a little bit. But yeah, it's an interesting one. There is a drop pod assault Rite of War as well, I think, a general Rite of War, which might be a good option for the Blood Angels. And then the Day of Sorrows. So these are the same 2 Rites of War that they used to have access to. We got the Armory here of the Blood Angels. The iconic Perdition weapons have seen a bit of a change, and this is what I was mentioning at the beginning of the video. These, I believe, used to be AP2, the blades, but now they're AP3, but you get Brutal, which is like the old Deathfire special rule, and Rending, which is a chance to get that AP2, at least on the blade, on a 6+. And they share the Assault Cannon there with the Imperial Fist. Then we've got Sanguinius, and again, Sanguinius has seen a lot of changes. So you can see 6s across the board, with the weapon skill 8 there, which is, at the high end for a Primarch. But probably not as great a stat line as the Lion or Russ. Obviously very, very fast with his great wings. His Warlord trait gives you an extra reaction in the opposing player's movement phase. And when your units come in with deep strike and they're equipped with jump packs, they get +1 weapon skill if they make a charge. So that's his sort of force multiplier effect there. And there's been quite a few changes here to his rules as well. So he used to allow you to take Dawnbreakers as troops. That's gone. He used to, I believe, not scatter, and the unit he was with not scatter when they deep strike in. That's gone. The combat resolution buff, I think, has been reduced slightly. On the whole, I don't think he's as powerful as he used to be in the previous rules. The Spear Telestor, looks much better now. It's a permanent strength 10 AP1, which is great. And we come on to the Dawnbreaker cohorts here. So they've got the 2 wounds each there with the Artificer armor still. Quite a few special rules here. All sort of triggered when they deep strike in and charge, Furious Charge, and set the sky aflame. There's been a few changes, I think, to the profiles of the Falling Star Pattern Spears and the Equinox Power Blades. You can see there. Reach 1 is an interesting rule. Grants +1 initiative compared to Sudden Strike 1, which grants +1 initiative on the charge. The Crimson Paladins. So these, I actually think, are in a much better place in this version of the rules. They've got 2 wounds now, which means their Coriolis pattern, the Storm Shields that they've got. My pronunciation of these special rules is very bad. Where they inflict a -1 to wound penalty on attacks against them. I think that's really good. If they're going up against units equipped with Power Fist, you know, that would be inflicting instant death ordinarily. They're not now, so that's great. The Angels' Tears, which are the special sort of destroyer squad for the Blood Angels. Pretty much the same as they used to be. I do like these guys. Very nice models as well. The Angels' Tear Grenade Launcher, really nice piece of war gear there. With the Rad Phage, which reduces the toughness of the target unit by 1. Flash Blade means they're always wounded on 2s. Only AP4 though, but they're now assault free rather than blast. So, you know, you've got 5 of them in your unit, 15 shots there. There's a good chance some of those wounds are going to get through and reduce the target unit's toughness by -1. You know, that's a Space Marine, they're now toughness free. That sort of gives Blood Angels the edge in the not just the first round of combat with a +1 to wound, but also in subsequent rounds of combat as well. We've got their special Flying Dreadnought. Pretty much the same as well. Although I do like his Talons of the Perdition. AP2, Melee Shred, Brutal 2. Really cool. I think Dreadnoughts are going to be solid in this edition of the game now. I just think they're so much more resilient with the toughness and the wounds. 2+ save. He still has the Atomantic Deflector, so he's still a 5+ invulnerable save there as well. I do like that. He gets the option to use the jump pack either by deep striking or boosting it in the movement phase. The new Black Library character, Dominion Zephyr. A favourite from Master of Mankind. Really nice. I do like him. It's nice to have a jump pack equipped Blood Angels unique character as well. Some nice rules there. Comes back to life on a 4+ with 1 wound. A nice AP2 weapon there with Reaping Blow as well, so you want to get him into squads to get that extra attack. And Chapter Master Alderon. He's an impressive character, a nice melee weapon, nice profile. His Warlord trait is fantastic. It allows you to choose a Warlord trait from one of the other Loyalist Legions, which is which gives you lots of options really. And you know, I reckon there'll be some good combinations there. Then we get the gallery here of the different iconography and heraldry. And what I really like is we've got a Sanguinary Guard Pauldron here, Mark III Pauldron. So there's no Sanguinary Guard unit profile, there's no Sanguinary Guard models for Horus Heresy, but obviously you could convert some, and you can convert them out of Mark III Marines, maybe. You can use a Legion Command Squad, I guess, to represent them. More artwork here. Now we've got the Iron Hands Legion. So this is an Isvan Legion. Just a Primark and 2 unique units for the Iron Hands, which is quite common across most of the Isvan. I think the Salamanders and the Raven Guard as well. Yeah, these are great. These have got their Liber Astartes Iron Hands trait here. Makes their army so resilient. So they get a -1 to the strength of any attacks against them. And their vehicles get a variant of the It Will Not Die special rule. If they've already got It Will Not Die, they basically get that improved. They have +1 to that, so that's really great. I also really like their advanced reaction, the Gorgon Spite. It's basically a super-powered Overwatch reaction. It allows the unit that's making that kind of reaction to fire twice the number of shots, with the Gets Hot special rule as sort of a downside. So, you know, you can just imagine the opponent frustrated that they're not able to chip away at the Iron Hand because of their innate resilience. They decide to charge and then just get blown away by the Gorgon Spite. Got a couple of Warlord trait options here for the Iron Hands. A Loyalist and surprisingly a Traitor version as well. It always surprises me to see the Isvan Legions get a Traitor option. But the Traitor option actually is really cool. So In addition to a bunch of special rules, preferred enemy against loyalists, they also get this unique sort of ability across all of the legions, really, where they're able to make an additional reaction without expending a point. So you get an allotment of reaction points to spend in each turn, and here you can do a reaction without spending one of those points. And what's really interesting about this one is it explicitly says that the same unit warlord can make an additional reaction. So you can do 2 reactions. Normally you're limited to 1 reaction per phase per unit. That's very, very unique to the Iron Hands. There is a similar warlord trait, I think, could be for the Ultramarines, but it doesn't explicitly say that you can make these extra reactions in the same phase. Only 2 rights of war for the Iron Hands. This one here, I think, represents the Iron Hands after Ferrus Manos was decapitated at Isfahan. Yep, you cannot include Ferrus Manos in that one. The Armory of the Iron Hands. We get this Iron Father upgrade for Praetors, combines sort of the Praetor combat prowess with a tech range utility. Quite interesting. Access to the Cyber Familiar as well. This is covered earlier on in the book in the General War Gear section. Special pattern of Terminator armor there that inflicts a blind, I believe, on enemy units when they make their saves. Into Ferrus Manos himself. So as you can see, he's quite a tough, strength 7, toughness 7, above average for a Primark there. Lots of range weapons with the firing protocol special rule. That allows him to fire 3 of his range weapons. So cool. You see the firing protocols rule on things like javelin land speeders and things with multiple weapons, vehicles with multiple weapons. Well, things that used to be vehicles with multiple weapons. See the javelin land speeders now, the Contempt of Dreadnoughts, they're all toughness and wounds values, characteristics. I really like his weapon as well here, the Forgebreaker. Strength 12, AP 1, melee, mastercrafted, Exoshock 3+. This is what you can do, extra penetrating hits, and brutal 3 extra wounds. Well, 3 wounds instead of 1 when you get a wound through. I think anything he swings at with that weapon is going to die, whether it's a vehicle, potentially even another Primark. Probably not Fulgrim though. Too soon. We've got their Gorgon Terminator squads and the Medusan Immortals. So yeah, quite a small selection of units there for the Iron Hands. Nice to see them in the new Mark 6 armour though. They do look quite nice in that colour scheme. Then we come to the Ultramarines. These are, I would say, probably one of the most trickiest armies to use from the Loyalist side. They're all about sort of complementing units and supporting units with each other. Really, really cool play style. But I think it will take a lot of practice, a lot of finesse to actually make the most of that. Their Strength of Wisdom, the Liber Astartes Ultramarine special rule, gives, so you choose a unit, you target a unit with a ranged attack, and then any other unit in your army that targets that same unit with a ranged attack adds +1 to the hit rolls. So you want to open up with your bolters and smaller weaponry, and then unload later on with other units and then more specialised weapons to benefit from that +1 to hit. Their advanced reaction as well, I think, is like allows multiple units to shoot back when one of your Ultramarines units is declared the target of a shooting attack. So you have to be very wary about opening fire on any Ultramarines units if you're poorly positioned, because you may find that you get a lot of return fire coming your way as well. A few Warlord traits there, including some traitor ones. Only 1 right of war for the Ultramarines though. The Logos Lectora. It's a very, I'd say, like I say, very finesse kind of right of war. Quite a few limitations and restrictions. You need to add the extra compulsory HQ choices and compulsory troop choices there. But the bonuses, if you manage to pull it off, are quite strong. So basically each turn your army can choose from one of these commands. Some commands buff shooting at the expense of movement, some buff the close combat prowess at the expense of shooting. So you need to make sure that your units are in position to really exploit these bonuses they're going to get, because obviously you have to work around the drawback. Very in sort of on theme with the Ultramarines, I'd say. The Armory of the Ultramarines, on the face of it, looks a bit boring, but really it's very good. It's basically just upgraded versions of sort of generic war gear. So the Legatine axe there is just a better power axe. It doesn't have the unwieldy special rule. The special boarding shield there is just a better version of the boarding shield. Yeah, it's just effective. We get the Primark there, Rabuti Guilliman. Again, a bit of an upgrade. Brings him more in line with other Primarks, which I really like. You know, these are supposed to be... There's only 18 of them in the galaxy, so it's nice to see them sort of more in line with each other. Obviously, you've got the likes of Russ and the Lion, which have, you know, a bit of a better sort of more melee-focused stat line. But Rabuti Guilliman's not too shabby. And he is also quite good in combat. He gets this special rule here where after the first round of combat, he's able to reroll his hits in subsequent rounds. But he's really a force multiplier for the Ultramarines, obviously dishing out these special rules here. And then we've got the two Ultramarines unique units there, which are basically just, both of them really just souped up breacher squads. Equipped with those special axes and special boarding shields. With the line special rule, very important. And then the special character for the Ultramarines, Remus Ventanis. I think he's had a recent model, the Ultramarines sort of standard bearer. And very interesting warlord trait there. Allows you to take an additional reaction in the opposing player's movement phase. Really, really cool. A lot of the warlord traits in this book, whether they're on the special characters or the just sort of general legion traits, they grant these additional reactions, which is obviously an important part of the new Horus Heresy 2 game. Some more artwork for the Ultramarines. Yes, there's Remus Ventanis, the new character there. Very nice sculpt. And the new Praetors are very nice as well, actually. Then we come to the Salamanders, another Istvan Legion, and again, just the Primark and 2 unique units for the Salamanders. Although they've got sort of slim pickings really on the rules side, they're very, very strong. I think these and the Space Wolves were probably my 2 favourite legions from a sort of strength point of view. Salamanders are all about, similar to the Iron Hands, very, very tough, a very, very tough army. So rather than reducing the strength of the weapons attacks coming against them, they're reducing the wound rolls by 1 against certain types of weaponry, so flame, melter, plasma, or volkite. They also get the It Will Not Die 6+ special rule. So this obviously only affects models with hull points or more than 1 wound, but still it's very good. You got the 3 warlord traits there, including a traitor one. It always surprised me the Istvan Legions have traitor warlord traits, but... we've skipped past the advanced reaction there. Duty to sacrifice. And this is an interesting advanced reaction because it has a penalty for the Salamanders. So basically, when you're charged by an enemy unit, you can declare this reaction, and it allows your unit to benefit from a whole host of bonuses: weapon skill, strength, attacks. Really, really cool. So you become pretty tough for that round of combat. The downside, however, is that after the combat, you have to roll a dice for every model in your unit, and on a roll of 6, they suffer a wound. And I don't think you can take any saves against that wound. So, yeah, against which no saves or damage mitigation rolls of any kind can be made. So watch out for that one. We've got the Salamander's Rites of War, a unique Salamander's Fury of the Salamander Psychic Discipline there. The Elemental Horror, I think, looks quite interesting. Quite a nice profile on that attack. And then we have the Armory of the Salamanders. So obviously these are famed for master craftsmen, and you can see that here. They still get the ability to mastercraft a weapon, the different character units. They've got their unique flamer weapons with the Dragon's Breath special rule there. Just improves the Wall of Death special attack. Their Dragon Scale Storm Shields, which basically just improve the invulnerable saves of any models that are equipped with them. And I think their characters can take them as well as their Terminators. Very interesting. Got Vulcan himself. The slowest Primark, only initiative 5, but strength and toughness 7 more than makes up for it, I think. It Will Not Die 4+ as well, so this guy is going to be around for a while. 2+ armor save, 3+ invulnerable save. You can reroll that against any flame or volkite weapons as you'd expect. And his nice hammer there. It's his pistol, actually, I think, which jumps out at me, though, with that burst D6 special rule. Strength 7, AP 2, Pistol 1, Lance Shock pulls with Burst D6. And basically, you're doing D6 hits instead of 1 when you score a hit. And we've got the first of the Salamanders unique units, the Pyroglass-classed squad. These are great. Toughness, wounds 2, 2+ armor save. They've got It Will Not Die 5+. They get a 5+ invulnerable save against special, attacks, Flame, Plasma, Melter, and Volkite. And they've got this fantastic ranged weapon, the Pyroclast Flame Projector, which gives you 2 firing modes, a sort of anti-infantry or an anti-vehicle with the armor being special rule. I think they're great. And then the Fire-Drake Terminators, again with 2 wounds, so all the Terminators now have 2 wounds. These guys do have the option to take those special shields, so they're, with their Cataphractic Terminator armor, they're on a 3+ save with It Will Not Die 5+. And we got the iconography there and the heraldry for the Salamanders. That's quite interesting, isn't it, there with the fire? Looks like a Legion of the Damned. They look good in green. And last but not least, we come to the Raven Guard, who, these have some really unique rules actually. So their Legion Astartes Raven Guard rule, this Shadow and Fury, basically different models in different units in your army are eligible to be upgraded with these one of 3 special rules. So the Talons, Falcons, or Hawks. So for example, models with the Legion Astartes special rule that have the infantry unit type but do not also have heavy unit subtype, or a Legion Warhawk jump pack, or Legion Tartarus Terminator armor, gain the Talons special rule. And that basically means that if they're targeted by a shooting attack, they all get the Shrouded 6+ special rule if the unit is more than 8 inches away from the enemy unit. They also get the Infiltrate special rule, so that's fantastic. And then, like I say, you can apply the Hawk special rule there to your flyers and skimmers. You can apply the Falcon special rule to the majority of the other units in your army there, the jump pack stuff. And their Fate of Black advanced reaction as well. This is really interesting because this can deny an opponent from shooting altogether. Basically, if one of your Raven Guard units becomes a target of a shooting attack, you can move that unit. And if that unit moves out of range of the enemy's shooting attack, well, that enemy can't target any other enemy unit. So, you can basically bait out some of the best guns from your opponent's army and then move your unit out of range. If your units are all equipped with these Corvid Legion pattern jump packs as well, these are the special Raven Guard jump packs, you're getting movement 14, I think. So, you're a very mobile army. A couple of Warlord traits there, including the Traitor one as well, another Istvan Legion. And again, this is another Istvan Legion with just 1 Primark and 2 unique units, as we'll see. The Rites of War there, with the Decapitation Strike is a good one, basically geared towards taking out enemy independent characters. Gives you a few extra bonuses to help you do that, and some extra victory points if you manage to achieve it as well. So quite a strong Rite of War, really. And the limitations really are not too bad. Just a single heavy sport choice and no fortifications, but it's not too bad, really. We get the armory of the Raven Guard, so the Camellia Line cloaks, the Night Vision improvisers. Raven's Talons are basically upgraded Lightning Claws, rending 5+ on this one, very cool. And then this Corvid pattern jump pack, this is the Legion special jump pack, movement 14 rather than 12, I think, for a regular jump pack. Also, this one gives you a 4+ invulnerable save against wounds taken from failed dangerous terrain tests, which is interesting. Then we have the Primark. One of the faster Primarks there at Initiative 7, and 7 attacks as well. That's on the high end there. He's got a nice selection of rules. Hit and run, deep strike. The Shadowed Lord, I think he's like a good force multiplier. Sort of improves the unit he's with. And his panoply of the Raven Lord, which is his unique sort of lightning claw. Really flexible weapon there, so really good rules just on the base profile. But that Fighting Style special rule there lets you switch to Murder Strike 4+, Rage 4, or Sudden Strike 3, depending on which unit you're fighting. And then we've got the more Deafened squad, which is like the I think that's like an elite Seeker squad. with a really cool Fatal Strike ability. On a 4+, you can give rending to their shooting attacks for 1 turn. The Dark Fury squad, though, is a proper blender unit. So 2 wounds each, equipped with those special jump packs, so they're movement 14. Sudden Strike 1, so they're fighting at initiative 5 on the charge. And they're equipped with 2 of those Raven Talons. So, you know, you're getting 5 attacks on the charge each. 6 attacks with the Chooser of the Slain. All with those AP3, Shred, Rending 5+. And that's it. So we've got the iconography of the Raven Guards and the model showcase, and that is the end of the book, the Liber Astartes. So again, we'll just quickly flick back to the front so we can just have another look at that index page and see what we've covered, if I can find it. Yeah, so again, so you get all of the Legion rules, which just gone through. Their Rights of War, Warlord Traits, War Gear, the unit profiles. We get I would say, incomplete section here in the appendices. The majority of the special rules that appear in profiles in this book are included in this section, but not all of them. A few of them you'll have to check the core rulebook to find them. But the majority, well, I think all of the weapon profiles and things are in here. You've also got the Legion, sort of General Legion Rights of War, General Legion Warlord Traits that you're able to make use of as well in any of these legions. That's in the appendices section. And then we've obviously got the General Legion Astartes army list there. So these are all the majority of your, well, these are all of the general units that have rules currently. So like I say, some units are missing. So the one that springs to mind is the Corvus Pattern Contempt of Dreadnought, which is like the Scout Contemptor. That's not in this book. But there is that section which says that the expanded rules mechanism, PDFs that they'll make available with extra rules in future. So perhaps we'll see that added back again. So yeah, so I really like this book. I think it's handy to have all of the legions in, all Loyalist Legions in one book. Obviously, most people are probably contemplating 1 or 2 different armies. It's great to have the main codexy section at the front here with all your general units, and then your special ones at the back. So yeah, it's a good book. I think my only sort of negative with it would be that not all of the special rules are in here. Some of the special rules are in the core rule book, and you know, you have to do a bit of cross-referencing sometimes to get all the information you need. But yes, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out our written view on the Sprues and Brews website. We've got a full breakdown of all of the Loyalist Legions on there. And you'll also find other articles as well. We've got the review of the Liber Hereticus, which is a sort of counterpart to this book that Matt's gone through, all of the traitor legions. And we've got the main review and unboxing of the Warhammer, the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness, the game and the core rulebook itself that you can check out as well. So thanks again to Games Workshop for sending Sprues and Brews a copy of this book to review. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed.